Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. Joining me today and off-mic co-host Phyllis, Jamison. Welcome to the house.
Thanks, Aaron. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming over today. Thank you for petting my dog.
She's great.
Isn't she cute?
I like her company. Pets make all the difference, like truly.
We had a false start here where she was squeaking one of her toys, which is not the first time that has happened since I got her and had to record the podcast at my house.
She's like, Dad, you took my toy.
Yes, but thank you for coming over today. How's life been since I saw you last? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. I know. I think the last time I played Nashville Tour Stop was over at Sunny's Clubhouse, maybe. It's been good. I'm off for the summer because I teach full time.
Right.
So that's been nice. At first, it was like a difficult transition, and now it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to go back yet. You know, I've kind of eased into the summer.
So when did you move to Nashville?
I moved here a little over 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
July
2nd.
Are you from Ohio?
No. Guess again.
I don't know why I thought you were from Ohio. Where are you from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey? You don't have a Jersey accent.
Not many people do. Unless you live in a very specific spot.
Okay.
Both of my parents are from New York, so occasionally someone's like, what was that you just said? But yeah, no. New
so
Jersey
I know there's a point of contention with Jersey. Does Central Jersey exist?
It does. I went to school there. So when I first moved there, I had a roommate from Central Jersey.
I know some people fight it tooth and nail.
It is very in existence because, like, I know Jersey is one of the smallest states, but there are literally 3 different parts of the state. South, Central, and North. And they're very different. So it makes sense that we all want to keep them divided, yet we all have, you know, our pride for our state.
Right.
So
yes. You're from Central Jersey or you went to school to Central Jersey?
I went to school there. I'm from North Jersey.
Okay. What did you study when you were in college?
Music education. And then I went straight to get my master's and at Montclair State, which is North Jersey. Moved back home for a few years and I got my master's in music therapy. So I'm a certified music therapist as well.
What made you want to actually teach music? Because I thought for a while that I wanted to teach music, and then I started realizing, I don't want to have a student like me. I didn't want to be.
What were you like?
I was not a good student.
Well, what were you like?
I transferred schools 3 times and changed majors 4 times. I was not a good student. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't have the, let's just call it intelligence.
I don't think it's about that.
I was a hard C average student because I didn't want to learn how to play classical guitar. Okay,
so then it just sounds like you didn't find the thing that you were passionate about, right? Or the right teacher to kind of inspire you.
Oh, absolutely not.
So, yeah, you would have been someone that I'm like, we're going to be friends. You know, in a professional manner.
You want to help me find that thing that lights the fire? The
challenging students tend to gravitate towards me, except for there's the type of student that, I'm going to curse, whatever, doesn't give a shit, right? Mm-hmm. They don't want to be there. But then there's the type of student that is afraid to be vulnerable or try something new.
Gotcha.
But you know that they want to, you know? So you keep sticking with it and you throw little stones and you're like, hey, when you're ready, I'm here for you. And eventually they pick it up and they're like, here, I found this.
So how old are your students?
I teach middle school now. I was teaching high school. See,
we
would have been fine.
So we just had Sam Ferrara on a few weeks ago, and she was a middle school band teacher.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, I know her.
Something that she and I were talking about is just how difficult middle schoolers can be, to be diplomatic about it.
Yeah. I mean,
have you had a similar experience?
Bad rap. I mean, yes. But they're also, I don't know, I try to think back to when I was in middle school. It's a difficult time, right? But at the same time, everyone's always struggling. Everyone's always dealing with struggles. You know, there's this misconception, I think, that you turn a certain age or you become an adult and you don't have problems anymore. And that's just not true.
Right.
So I humanize every age. They're just going through hormonally a very difficult period of time. And then with the social media, they've lost their sense of identity.
Gosh, I can't imagine being in school now, because when we were in high school and junior high, MySpace was that was the only thing. And then I think around the time that I graduated high school, there was this brand new thing called Instagram.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Facebook. When I was a sophomore, I made a Facebook account.
I got a Facebook I think I was a sophomore or a junior when I got my Facebook. But I remember going on a senior trip with a couple of my friends. And they're like, do you have this new app called Instagram? We can share pictures with each other. And I was like, why would we do that?
That's really funny. Yeah. One of my friends in college introduced me to Snapchat, and the same thing. I'm always the last person to kind of pick up on these things because I'm like, trends or whatever. And I don't know.
I don't really care. Yeah, Are you on Threads?
What?
There's a new app. It's Instagram's Twitter. It's called
Really?
It's called Threads.
Oh, Threads. I thought you said Freds. I was like,
Oh.
what's Freds? Is that a...
No, Threads is...
I've kind of heard of it, but not enough to care,
It's
honestly.
just another dumb thing to waste time on.
That's exactly, like, I don't know. Yeah, social media is, I'm sure we've all talked about it 1,000 times, a gift and a curse.
Ugh.
You know?
Yes. It's that dopamine button that we click that gives us actually nothing.
Yeah, I've tried to limit it now, so I have like a 45-minute a day limit. And
That's
it tells
really
me.
good
And
to
sometimes
set
I do
that.
like 1 minute, 15 minutes, no limit for today, but at least it tells me where I'm at. You know, it gives me like a threshold of how long I've spent on it.
That's one of the things that's hard about running Nashville Tour Stop is how much I have to be on social media.
Yeah.
Because it's how I research performers and it's how I interact with people and it's how I communicate with people. And gosh,
I totally get it.
my phone, sometimes it sends those like weekly updates, your average screen time.
I was just going to talk about mine.
It's
Yeah.
laughable. It's like 8 hours a day.
Okay. Yeah. This week I worked mine down to 3.5.
That's
I was up at 7 a few weeks ago, I think just because I was bored, but now that I'm like out doing things. But I mean, I get it. I used to spend a ton of time on Instagram when I was first trying to network because that was the way.
it sucks because it's so much more fun.
Truthfully.
For example, I was texting somebody the other day and I thought he was really mad at me. All of the
inflection
texts
and
were
lost
just
in translation,
period.
yeah.
They were very factual information.
Yes.
And then he's like, "Call me." Period. And it's like, "Oh, here
You're
it's
like,
on."
"Oh, gosh,
It's
yeah, here we
on.
go.
And it's like, "Hey, I feel like I'm not conveying something." And I was like, "Yeah, are you angry?" He's like, "No, not at all."
Right.
And that's why this stuff sucks, is because
I
we
am
can
with
think
you.
that somebody's mad at us, and
Yes.
then in reality, they're just saying, "No, be here at whatever," or "This is this." And it's one of the reasons why I try to police myself on how much I let myself recreationally use social media
Yeah.
versus professionally.
I get it. You know what I found really helpful is sending voice notes back to each other, because then you can hear someone's inflection and their tone and what
Absolutely.
they're thinking. But
I personally
I
have
get
an issue with those voice messages, though, because I can't hear them.
Oh.
So I have people sending me voice texts or the
Yeah.
voice memos on Instagram, and I'll sit there and I'm like, all right, let's try to decipher this one word at a time. I don't know what she said. So that's
see
the
how that would
only
be
thing that I
frustrating.
would say against it. But I'm a pretty unique situation there, so I agree with you for the most part.
Yeah.
It happened the other day when a girl that I had gone out with, she texted me asking me if I wanted to go hang out with her. And I responded yes. And then she sent me like a 1.5 minute long voice memo. And
You're like-
I understood maybe 30% of it because it sounded like she was jogging. So there was a lot of like that.
Sometimes the
wind
AirPods,
noise.
the outside noise. Yeah. It can
outside
be unclear.
noise, and she was panting. And it's like, what are you doing?
Perfect timing to
So
send an audio note.
I screen recorded it and sent it to my friend, and I was like, can you please tell me what this girl is saying? And what she had actually said in the voice memo is, actually, you know what? I don't think I want to go out with you, but... And it's so funny that I had to send that to my friend.
I know.
And she's like,
You were like,
Yeah,
great.
so you just got dumped over a voice memo. And I'm like, okay,
I guess
never
that's more
mind.
personal than a text message with a period. Period.
But so let's talk about your musical background. So I
Sure.
assume you've done the whole classical music stuff, doing music education. What was your musical background growing up?
So I was a band kid.
Okay. Did you play a whole bunch of different instruments?
Well, yes and no. Like most band kids, you have one focus, and then if you have interests elsewhere. So I chose the trumpet.
Okay.
Memories can serve you wrong, but if I remember correctly, one of the teachers came to my classroom and they were like, hey, we've got a lot of trumpet players. Your second choice is clarinet. And I said, no, I want to play trumpet.
Okay, so explain to me this. How do you get all 12 tones out of a trumpet that has 3 buttons?
Oh, so when you press the valve down, if you like take the valves out, they have different holes in them. So when you press them down, they're letting through different amounts of air, and it's also your embouchure. So the difference between trumpet and French horn is French horn has, it's a totally different, they
there's
have rotary
different buttons
valves.
and valves and stuff.
Yeah, so you can play more overtones and partials and things in between. So trumpet
Okay.
it's mostly just the muscles from your lips or your embouchure. There's like a ton of muscles in your mouth and air control.
I've always wondered that because I was trying to do like the math of the button combinations, and I was like, there's not enough combinations for all of the notes.
Yeah, they're similar and they repeat. I'm sure there's some more science answer to this, but hopefully that's good for the layman people.
So trumpet was the background. How old were you when you started?
9. Fourth grade. Yeah, in Jersey, they start in 4th grade.
That's cool. And did you play that all the way through high school and everything?
I sure did in college. Yeah. And when
we would have been friends in high school then because I was a choir nerd, but my high school campus rather was just so big. They had a separate building for just the fine arts kids.
That's really nice.
So we had an entire separate whole, we were an island.
Yeah.
And we never had to go to, we called it Gen Pop. We just
general population.
General population. We never had to go to the Gen Pop except for like math and English.
Yeah.
And
were you at a special private or arts high school?
No,
or
it was just a
regular
gigantic
one?
public high school.
Where?
Columbia, Missouri.
Oh,
so we had
cool.
about 3,000 kids at my high school.
Damn, mine was half the size.
Yeah, it was
still big,
humongous.
Yeah.
And the other high school in my hometown had about the same number of kids. Mm-hmm. So the schools were grossly overpopulated. And the year after I graduated, they actually opened a new high school to help filter out some of the kids because, I mean, I know a lot of people who grew up in these actual small towns where like, oh, my high school graduating class had 15.
40,
yeah, 40 people.
15, yeah.
My high school graduating class had almost 900.
I mean, honestly, that's a disservice to students and teachers because right here in Metro, I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. Yep. I have, classes of 28 to 34 sometimes. And anything over 25 is just not fair to a child, because that's literally 1 to 25.
Yep, you don't
1 to 30.
You don't get the time. Like I was in classes so big. We had the what do you call it? The Coliseum seating. Where the classrooms are just so big. The auditorium seating where. I mean, there were 150.
In your high school?
Yeah, in my high school.
That's like college level stuff.
It was
That's
just
wild.
like college. So when I started going to college and I was sitting in these gigantic auditoriums, I was just this is just another English class with 300 kids in it. So I didn't have personal relationships with almost any of my teachers in high school.
Wow, that's really unfortunate.
It was a different kind of experience, except for my fine arts teachers, who I ended up spending most of my time with. But
yeah, I did too.
I think it was my senior year of high school, I had only one Gen Pop class. I had an English class. And then the rest of the time, I was like my choir teacher's aide. And then I took 3 choirs. And then I was in musical theater and music theory. Mm-hmm. And I did get to develop personal relationships with my music faculty. But, I mean, I could walk into my high school main building and be like, I didn't know any of those kids. I didn't know any of those teachers. And we played a game during graduation. Never seen you before. Never seen you before.
That's wild.
It was crazy.
Yeah. But see, originally when we started this, you were like, I wouldn't have wanted to have me as a student. That's why I'm not a teacher. Mm-hmm. But you just described having close relationships with your teacher, and it sounds like you had a very formative, positive experience in your high school. I did have a positive experience with my fine arts faculty for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a teacher named Robin Steinhaus. She was my theater, and she was choir when I was in junior high. Mm-hmm. But I had her for 4 years, and she was just one of those teachers. She was a hard ass, but she was fun, and she didn't take bullshit.
Yeah.
And she would curse at us in the classroom, and that was the funniest thing.
I don't do that with my students.
Really?
But also, I guess you were talking about high school, like middle school. Yeah, I don't know. I try and just I talk to them like, regular people, but I try not to curse because I just feel like at least the population I teach, they're getting that at home, and I want to show them respect the way I want it back,
Yeah,
and if I
don't want
drop
a kid to say, fuck you.
Yeah, and if I drop a small bomb, they're like, oh, shit. Like, I don't know, maybe I've used, the word ass once, like you're all being assholes or something, but I rarely do that just because, I don't know, I just think it creates an environment more of love.
Yeah, Robin, she asked us to call her Robin. She didn't want to be called Miss Steinhaus.
Hey, I respect that.
Yeah, she just wanted her first name.
Yeah.
But she was our theater director, and there would be times when we'd really botch a musical number or something, and she wasn't cursing at us, but she would just be on the microphone or whatever talking to us. She'd be like, y'all, that fucking sucked.
That's actually hilarious.
And we're like, yes, it did.
I think in high school you can
better.
do more of that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of almost the antithesis of what you're talking about. We gave her the respect because she talked to us like we wanted to be talked to. Mm-hmm. We were like, talk to us honestly. If it sucked, tell us it sucked.
Right.
But when it's awesome...
I do that too, but I don't curse.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my one little thing.
Yeah, she just retired though, and I appreciate the teachers like you who do give a shit. So how long have you been teaching now?
This will be my 7th year.
7th year. Have you done middle school the whole time?
No. So in Jersey, I taught 5 years in 3 different high schools. 2 were kind of connected in the same district. And then when I moved here, I took a year off. And then I went back into the public schools last year. So this will be my 2nd year in
So was songwriting always part of it?
It was, yeah. I was always doing it after hours or on weekends.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably sometimes during school hours too. But I've tried to separate that more now and just find more of a balance in my life.
Do your students know that you're a songwriter?
They do.
I listened to your single.
Well, yeah, I know. That's the thing is like some of my music is very LGBT forward, which is not a bad thing, but I just kind of haven't found the right way to approach that yet. And some of it has more like sexual leaning content, just a couple songs. And so I'm like, I don't really want my middle school
shouldn't listen to.
Yeah, well, I mean, they listen to way worse, but I don't need them knowing that about me. I don't know. I'm just trying to find the balance there, I guess. But I did have a student on my personal laptop, which I bring to school because I like it better than the school laptops. I just know how to use my Mac and whatnot. Like on my Spotify, not going to lie to you, occasionally, maybe once a week, I like search my name to see where my Spotify listeners are at, and my plays. And I think one of my students caught wind of it and found my account. They just graduated. They were 8th graders and it didn't bother me. And I don't think it's spread or anything, but it's tricky because it's like you want to inspire them, but you also want to stay professional. And so, yeah, but I tell them that I work in the music industry and that I know people. And I had a friend, Kenny Sharp, come perform during Black History Month, and they were like blown away. And like, I want to do more of that this year because I just got a music technology grant from Save the Music.
It
Jay
also
Dilla
kind of
Jr.
shows them that you're more of a dynamic human rather than just, I'm your teacher, beep boop.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that. I see the humanity behind you kind of thing. Because, yeah, they may be 13, but they're not dumb.
No, they're not dumb. And I get to bring what I'm passionate about to the table and teach them something they may not have had access to otherwise, you know? Because a lot of kids, I don't want to say everyone, but almost everyone connects with music or loves music in some way, shape, or form. And so I was at the Ed Sheeran concert last night, and, like, I thought to myself...
Oh, my gosh. Let's talk about that, but continue.
Okay. And I just, hearing him talk, I'm just like... One of my kids that I teach is going to be on a stage like that one day. I just know it.
You
know what I mean?
You can see it.
I can just feel it, And I think, I don't know, it's such a weird thing for me being in the room as a teacher and in the music industry, because it's like I get to bridge the gap, but sometimes they're separate and sometimes they cross over. But without people like me, and I don't mean this to sound like, egotistical.
So are you trying, for this student in particular, then would you try to help them find that exact thing that sparks the inspiration in them, whether it be songwriting or acting or...
Yeah, well, I'm just giving them tools musically. I get students who want to be in my class who don't want to be in my class this year. Oh, hey, Phyllis. Phyllis
just rolled over onto her belly for Jamison.
and her back feet are on my leg. It's so cute. All right, lost my train of thought. But I just feel like, I don't know, I get... in the music industry, my goal for being a songwriter, an artist, whatever, was to like reach as many people as possible. But sometimes I feel like I'm doing that more in the classroom.
Really? Would you explain that?
Sure. I guess it's just more personal.
Okay.
Now that I'm playing more writers rounds and stuff, it feels a little, more connective. But it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. I guess being there and making one-on-one connections and being able to give my kids just the tools that I have, I just feel like that's more purposeful and meaningful in the world, to be able to give my knowledge to someone else who can then take it and bring it to another level. So for example, I had a student when I taught at a special ed high school in Jersey, never played guitar before. And then I taught her beginning guitar, and then she went on to go be a music therapist and plays classical guitar 20 times better than me.
Wow.
So like, it's just those types of things where it's like, I can then give a classroom of 30 kids that I see. I mean, I probably see 400 kids a year. So if you multiply that, every time I get new students come in or whatever, I know that they carry over through the grades in middle school, but I just feel like I am personally reaching more that way. And then they can share that with their friends. It just feels more, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Individual and organic.
Like, I kind of understand that because when I was considering being a teacher, I wanted to actually be a music theory teacher because
that's awesome.
I'm a big theory nerd. I love using music theory knowledge, especially with songwriting now.
Yeah.
But that's why I studied theory and composition for so long in college, is
That
because
sounds hard. Good for you.
it was very difficult.
Yeah. I
And
only like teaching beginning theory. After that, I'm like, meh.
I started at the University of Central Missouri, and I had a teacher whose name escapes me now, but he was very well respected at our college or whatever, but he refused to shake students' hands. It was like, it was just like, I don't want to call it folklore for whatever reason, but
Taylor Swift reference?
it was like, if you get, his name was Dr. Majors. If you get a Dr. Majors handshake, it's like, you're on his short list for being like good student, well recommended. And I tested out of the intro class and into his class my freshman semester, and he had really high expectations for me, and it made me want to earn that handshake. And on the last day of class, when we took our big final and everything, I told him that I was going to be transferring. He told me how disappointed he was because he was looking forward to that knowledge exchange with me, because he didn't see many other kids caring about his class. Because let's be honest, music theory for most people sucks.
It's like a must take, yeah.
Yes, most kids don't like it, but it was my
sure.
favorite part of the day, doing Roman numeral analysis.
No wonder he loved you. You were like the gem. You were a gift.
I love that, and he gave me that handshake. It made me feel like, okay, I kind of found something that is important to me. So when I moved and started studying it elsewhere, I didn't have that same teacher relationship. That was kind of when the love of doing music theory kind of faded away a little bit, because I didn't have that person who saw the fire. I don't want to say prodding it, but pushing me to keep doing better.
Yeah. And I think, as we're talking about this, when you were like, can you explain that more? I think the thing is, I know that there are more talented people out there than me, and I'm okay with that. And I think the fact that I can give them those tools and that they can build that up, like I just know someone's going to take what I give them and they're going to take it further than I did.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Because
and that's
not
so
everyone
fucking cool.
can teach. It takes, I can only imagine an enormous amount of patience to tolerate.
They are very loud.
Yes.
They are very loud and sometimes very chaotic.
My oldest brother, Joel, was a high school music teacher for a while, and he couldn't stand it.
Okay.
He loved it.
I get it.
He was he was beloved by his students, but he said what kind of drove him out of it was the faculty and the parents.
That's what I was going to say.
He said if it was just
such a bummer
teaching the kids the whole time, it would have been fine. But the politics of public schools, or I guess schools in general probably, are difficult to navigate.
That's a whole damn topic, man.
So when did you write your first song?
Oh, probably when I was like 10 or 11. I used to have this cassette player. Then I would put the cassette in and I would record it. And I still have it with me.
You push play and pause at the same time to record?
Oh, that's right. I don't even remember. I don't know. I guess, one of my parents taught me at the time.
We're both children of the 90s.
That's right. We are, yes. 91. Yeah, I used to write on computer paper my songs. And I have a couple, I think, that I kept in like this, what are those little...
The composition notebooks?
No, like the plastic containers you'd put your pen and pencils in elementary school. You know what I'm talking about, with like the colored... tops.
Oh, yes, I do know what you're talking about, but I can't remember what they're called.
Me neither. Anyway, I'd keep my papers in there with the cassette player. And so, I started writing my first songs in middle school.
Do you remember what it was called?
No. No, I don't.
I've told this story several times on the show before, but when I was in high school, I was in a band called Lot 56.
Okay.
And it was the band that played the first songs I ever wrote. And I was just the guitar player. We had another singer named Ian. But it was that first time where I felt the collaboration between different musicians.
Yeah.
And that was really got me excited about songwriting.
Nice.
But all of that to say, my drummer of that band named Joel, he moved to Iowa, but his parents that we practiced in their basement back in high school, his parents sold their house a few years ago. And he was helping them pack and found an old spiral-bound notebook that had my first song that I ever wrote in it. And he mailed it to me, and I have it framed in my bedroom.
Yo, that's so cool.
It's one of those...
You're going to have to show me at the end.
It was so cool. I mean, the song's terrible, but...
Is it, though? I feel like there's like this... I don't know. I think of Olivia Rodrigo. She's so young when she put out all that music. There's like an essence of just purity when you write songs and you don't know anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't like collaborated too much or done this. Like there's like a sense of untaintedness. And I do remember the song. It was called like I Miss You, I Miss Him. It's this silly little melody and I still remember it. So that's the thing about music, right? It's been what? I don't know, 23 years and I still remember that, like one of my first songs. So
it is one of the things that sucks about having knowledge of music theory is that you're so... They just hammer, don't have parallel fifths, don't have yada, yada, yada. That when you start thinking about it, you're like, oh, I shouldn't do this because this is how it's supposed to be. But that purity of writing songs when it's just the open frontier, the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, and I think you can turn that off, right? Like we have this innate ability to know what sounds good to us. So if you're like, okay, music theory doesn't say that, but maybe I can like reference it later or just like on and off, you know? It's like, okay, I know that maybe that's not kosher,
correct,
per se, but it sounds good to me. And I think like that's the most important thing about music is what sounds good to you. You know, if you analyze it too much, then you lose the authenticity and the rawness.
Oh my God, I so love that you said that because the quote correct whatever. My first song that I ever wrote, I wrote a descending tritone into the melody. I didn't know that was wrong or that it was difficult to sing. Great. But looking back at it now, it's like that's a wildly unique melody choice.
Yeah. Because
nobody else was writing stuff like that. And I also wrote the song in a mixed meter.
Okay.
I wrote it in
I've done that too. That was weird. When I had a band in like early college, like beginning grad school, I did that. It was like I wrote the verse slower and the chorus faster and I was like, that's complicated. I don't do that so much anymore because it had a different strum pattern to it and I was like, why did I do that? But it just came naturally to the song, right? When I played it by myself,
you can't do it a different way.
Yeah,
because that's how your brain wrote it and you're like, I can't hear it differently now.
Yeah, and that's just like letting whatever take over, you know? And just
I would love to play a 7/4 song in a writer's round and just watch people's brains melt.
Do you play your own round at all?
I play rounds every now and then.
Okay.
Have you never seen me perform
No, I
before?
haven't.
So I just performed. Today is Sunday, July the 23rd that we're recording this, but I performed on Friday the 21st for Sonny's. They have a show on Friday nights called Songsmiths.
Yes, I did that once.
Yes, so my friend Coley is one of the co-hosts, but she and I write funny songs together.
Fun. And
I played a bunch of funny music with her and another guy named Camden West.
I know Camden West.
But I play every now and then, not nearly as much as I used to, though. I kind of got out of the performing all the time as Nashville tour stop picked up, and more so when my hearing started getting way worse. It's just harder for me to hear myself play, and I've seen videos of myself singing, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'd book that guy.
It's not about that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like... Even the best singers make mistakes. I think Ed Sheeran maybe hit one wrong note last night. Not that it mattered, but it's just like you can hear just how good somebody is, even if they're... I don't even know if good is the right word. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Though you can feel someone's essence even when they make a mistake.
So let's talk about Ed Sheeran. You were at that concert last night?
It was a last-minute decision. Wow. Yeah, and we were up in the nosebleeds.
I don't know why I didn't go. But
I don't know either.
What was the attendance record? Did you hear?
73,000.
73,000? That's insanity.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like he said his promoter said that was the most.
Because they said it was an all-time attendance record for Nissan.
Yes, exactly. 73,000. Yeah.
But did you hear what happened after the concert?
Yes, he went to Santa's Pub and sang karaoke. Santa's. I've been there once a few months ago, but I was like, darn.
That validates a story that I've been telling for years because it must have, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago that Ed Sheeran came here last. But
that's what he said 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Did you know he lived here?
He did.
In 2013 and 2018 or 19.
He lived here for a while.
Yeah.
But somebody told me, I forget what his name was. I think it was a friend of mine named TJ, but he told me, he's like, no, I was at Santa's one night, and then there was this just drunk British guy singing Ed Sheeran over the karaoke, and he goes, "Thank you, I'm Ed." And he just drops the microphone.
He sang his own song?
He sang his own song. I would assume he was probably hammered. But he's like, I met Ed Sheeran at Santa's. And I was like, no way. No
I just
way
loved how real and
his
personable.
Own song.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Honestly, I respect the hell out of that. Why not, right?
Why not?
It's something you know.
But last night, I guess they did an after party or something. But a bunch of my friends were there.
Cool.
And he did The Killers and a couple of other... I would love to hear Ed Sheeran singing Mr. Brightside.
Ooh, me too. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I love living in Nashville is stuff like that just doesn't
never know
happen
who's going to show
elsewhere.
up. Yeah.
Maybe New York, LA, London, maybe. These big arts communities places, but Nashville is that also. And Ed Sheeran's not going to go to a karaoke bar in Boise. Sorry, Boise.
You'll never know. No,
you never know. But did you see
right.
the special shirts he had printed last night? He
sort
gave away
of.
for the Santa's thing, so they had planned it.
Oh,
They gave away shirts that had
the
owner of Santa's and Ed Sheeran on it and said Santa's Pub.
That's so cool.
He gave out a bunch of T-shirts to everybody who came out, and he was buying drinks for everybody. Like, imagine just being the biggest songwriter in the world, or one of the biggest songwriters in the world, and then going to a double-wide trailer that only serves beer and only takes cash, and just do it after party.
He's such a humble person, and I think sometimes we forget that celebrities are human like us, but he just brings such, I don't know, the word intentionality came to my brain, and just, he's very human, and I love that about him.
That's the kind of thing, intentionality is the right word, that I would want to bring should I ever become super famous, or that I would hope any of my friends who might ever become super famous bring with them, is that don't forget where you came from. Kind of a thing.
He talked about that too. He was like, I went to the same pub for years and years, and I was like, this song they're gonna love, and no one paid attention, and it's just like that persistence is, it's admirable and inspiring. I don't have that kind of passion for that. I have passion for other things in the music industry, but to go every single night or once a week and have no one pay attention to me, like that was the kind of shit that made me not want to perform anymore. And then when I came to Nashville and I found these writers rounds, it changed it for me. But like that was for him, and that's what I'm saying. Like I can see one of my students up there that feels the same way. I just know that's not for me. So
do you perform out in Nashville very often?
I've been performing more since I started. Has that been
a deliberate choice rather than just kind of by design?
How do you mean?
So some people, by design, when I mean like Nashville's designed, you write the songs, you play the songs, then you go write the song. Because you've been here for a while, and I don't particularly remember you playing out like a ton.
I didn't. I guess I also didn't know kind of who to contact. But when I moved to town, I just had a very different mindset about a lot of things, including the music industry, and I had to reframe. And I found a lot of myself here, and I had to peel away some layers and lay a new foundation. And then I started writing music that felt a lot more authentic to me again, kind of where I started. And that's why I started playing out more.
Do you prefer playing the like solo kind of round shows, or have you ever played with a band? Or
it's been a long time since I played with a band, and I feel like what I'm doing now got turned into something else when I had a band around me. I think my music is meant to be very minimalist.
Gotcha.
My music personally, not when I write for other people or depending on the kind of project I'm working on. I've got a pop project. Now I'm transitioning out of that. So,
well, that's a good cliffhanger. Let's take a quick commercial break.
Perfect.
And come right back and let's talk more about what Jamison's working on now and in the future, right here on the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. And we're back with the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. Jamison's sitting on the couch with me. Phyllis has resumed her primary position in her bed, right, not even 6 inches from you. But we were in the break talking about my first job at a candy store, which I might have talked about on air before. But we were talking about first giving up coffee or alcohol, and you said you'd give up both if it meant you could keep chocolate.
That is correct, yes. And then you started talking about how you worked at the candy store, which is so cool.
I used to work at a candy store, and I made chocolate professionally for about 8.5, maybe 9 years. And the story that I was telling that you said, you should record this.
I know. I was like, this is the stuff people want to hear.
I had made a bouquet of chocolate roses for a girl that I went on a date with in college. And I obviously don't have a candy store here in my house, but I have just the remnants of my knowledge there in the kitchen.
Was that the mold that you used?
That was the mold that I used. I
love that.
And
nostalgic.
I have lollipop sticks and everything, so I'm waiting again for the day that I like a girl enough to make another bouquet of roses for, because I've done it twice. The first girl that I did it for in college, and then I tried it once in Nashville back, it was like 2020 or so. I had gone out with the girl like 6 or 7 times. And at that point, you know, you've been going out for a couple of weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try to like up the game just a little bit. So I made a bouquet of roses for her and took her out to dinner. And then I gave her the chocolate rose and she goes, yeah, I don't want to go out with you anymore. I was like, oh, so I'm going to keep the chocolate.
Oh my God.
She goes, well, I still want the chocolate. And I was like, you don't get the chocolate. Yeah. You just dumped me.
You're like, if anything, I need the chocolate.
Yeah, it's like, usually when you get dumped, you don't take the present also.
Damn. Well, I commend you for trying again. Third time's a charm, right?
Third tries a charm, right?
So
yeah, that'd be like, oh, no, sorry, I don't want to marry you, but I'd love to keep the diamond.
I guess I'm making myself some chocolate tonight.
Yeah. So we left off on a cliffhanger of the project that you have been working on versus what you're going to be working on. So
yeah.
Elevator pitch your music for us right now of what you have been doing.
Okay. So when I first started writing, I was told I should work with producers and artists. That was advice given to me from a professional at a PRO, and it was very valuable, but I got very stuck in that mindset, and I kind of shifted all my stuff to the side. So I started co-writing a ton in New Jersey and New York, and virtually too. Even before people were doing it virtually, since I was already working in the EDM world and people in Europe, like that was a no-brainer for me. Like it. So when everyone was transitioning and they were like, "I hate this," I was like, "I'm used to it, and I think it's great." Yeah, so I started having a catalog of songs, and I was still writing for myself here and there. And the catalog starts filling up. And as a songwriter, pitching songs when you don't have a publishing deal, when you're kind of new to the game, is really hard.
That's
so
great.
I was like, I'm going to create a pop project, and I'm going to put these out. And I like a lot of the singers on here, so I'm going to ask if they're okay being the vocalist.
Okay.
And I became comfortable with that, kind of, I guess, almost hiding behind my words. But they were my words with other people's voices that were collaborators, sometimes co-writers, and I would co-produce. And I enjoyed it for a long time. I was like, wow, this music sounds great. It's the commercial pop that I love. You know, maybe kind of teetering on a couple different things here and there, like different genres, kind of like tiptoeing some subgenres. And then I moved to Nashville. I had to kind of not pick my life apart, but take a look at things, right? And see my reflection in the mirror through the people I was associating myself with and just patterns and behaviors. And last November, I was so burnt out. You know, I had just started my teaching job. That was a hard transition. And then the music wasn't panning out the way, you know, everyone comes here with expectations when they move to this town. And I guess I did too. I'm no different. And when I just started kind of pulling it apart and focusing on different parts of my life, I was like, this needs to be put on pause. And I had such a hard time separating myself. And then suddenly I was having
Separate the art from the artist a little bit.
Working on music at all. I was like, I need to stop and take a break, because I just like kept overbooking myself. The hustle culture, it's like it was kind of like how we were talking about Instagram. You're constantly on it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like once you've conditioned yourself to do that, it is very hard to create any other habit. So I was like, if I'm not working, people are going to forget me. It's not true. You know, like our mental health makes us even more present and valuable. So I was supposed to take the whole month of, I think, October or November off, and I took a couple weeks. And then, I don't know, something just kind of clicked, and I started writing for myself again. That's like good. This really raw, vulnerable, authentic music that felt very similar to the way I started writing music, because that was what was real to me. I started writing to process, you know, shit in middle school that was difficult. Like I was writing poetry and songs, and then now I'm doing that as an adult. Like we don't change. I don't think our core and our essence changes as we get older. I think sometimes we get lost. And so I was finding myself again. And so now I'm creating, well, I guess I'm going back to kind of my singer-songwriter roots. So my voice, I was delegating it to other people. And while it sounds great, and I love that that's a part of my journey, I now want to be my voice again. So that everything feels like me.
Well, let's talk about the hustle culture of Nashville, because a lot of our listeners are here, but I know a lot of you are not in Nashville. You may not be in the industry, or you might be trying to be a songwriter somewhere else, but the hustle culture of Nashville is relentless.
Truly.
It is exhausting, and just like you were talking about burnout, I have gone through the exact same thing.
Of course.
Because you hit the nail on the forehead. People think that if you don't post for X weeks, or if you don't play shows for so long, you'll get forgotten about. And it's just not true, because we're we do condition ourselves is, man, I've got to play 5 shows a week, and then I've got to be putting out a new single every month. And you burn the candle so fast that you get to where I'm sure both of us were at, where you almost want to just, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore, because we're not built to work 24/7.
It's not like we don't want to do it. That's the thing, right? Is we get so burnt out that it's like the thing that we love, we want to walk away from, but we can't because we love it. So then you have to find something else.
It's the worst toxic relationship.
Truly. I actually had that same conversation with a great friend here in Nashville with me. She literally, compared the music industry sometimes to a toxic relationship. It is. It's kind of a revolving door until you figure out how to have a healthy relationship with yourself, and then...
It drives me nuts. I hate it sometimes, but I can't leave because I love it.
You don't have to. Yeah. You don't have to. You just have to find a way to be yourself and also make what you love work.
So for me, the hustle culture was trying to do 1,000 shows, host as many shows as I could.
So not actually 1,000.
Well,
was that a benchmark for you?
Actually, we're going to host our 1,000th show in 2024.
Okay, that's coming up. That's really exciting.
Yes, but that wasn't the thing that I was like striving for by a certain date. Yeah. But I just wanted to do as much as I could all of the time. And I look back, and I think I've said it on air before, a picture of myself from Christmas of 2021 was right after, it was a few days after the last show ever at Belcourt. So I don't know if you were at that show that night.
Yes, I was.
You came to that?
Isn't that when everyone got COVID?
Yeah, that was, everybody got COVID that night.
Yeah, I knew, I was there with someone who got it, and that's the night I met Sam, actually, Ferrara, so that's funny.
So there were hundreds of people there that day, and it was just a perfect picture of working too much and why I felt burnt out, because I had bags under my eyes. My neck beard was almost connected to my chest hair. My hair was so long and scraggly. I was not taking care of myself.
Right.
I was eating what the cook at Belcourt called diabetes salad.
Oh my gosh.
Which was base of chicken nuggets, French fries, cheese, and then chili. And granted, it tasted great, but that's the kind of stuff that I was putting into my body, and I was not taking care of myself. And as a consequence, when you don't take care of yourself, your body revolts and your brain revolts. And that's why we get burnt out, is because we forget to drink water or take a day to do your laundry. Or I had to put it on a note card I taped to my bathroom mirror for a while. Wash your face if you feel sad.
I love that. That's great.
It's just little things like that. It's like one of the reasons you probably feel gross and sad right now is because you're literally not clean. And it helps doing little things like that. So I've kind of implemented it in my life still today. If it takes less than 5 minutes to do it right now. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that's one reason I keep my email inbox pretty low. It's like most emails don't take longer than 5 minutes to write or respond to. Or cleaning my kitchen, I have a tiny ass kitchen, does not take long to clean. Yeah. So I cleaned it in 5 minutes today. And I've tried keeping that kind of consistency, whereas some projects do need more time. They need hours, they need days, writing songs, doing podcasts, running shows, building a career. But washing your face to take care of your body is one of those things it's okay to take 5 minutes to do.
Even more than that, I think giving yourself an hour a day. You know, like I was actually listening to a podcast that said the most successful people wake up early and they do like these 7 things, but you can just pick 3 of them. The wake up routine? Yeah. I didn't finish listening to that podcast. It's called Create the Love. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that, but that podcast has really saved my life in a lot of ways, including a few others. But yeah, I don't know. This is something that people talk about in private and they don't talk about in public, which is like hustle culture can be a killer. Some people are really great at it and maybe they don't get burnt out. I don't know. But I think for most of us, it's a reality that, like, again, people talk about behind closed doors, and it's so important to just put out there. And self-care is such a buzzword, but like whatever you want to call it, giving yourself time is so damn important. And it makes a difference. I think our generation is better at also talking about like, hey, I need to take a fucking break. Yeah.
I need to chill out. My mental health's not doing good.
I wasn't for a while. I think, I don't know. You either have to reach a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore, or someone has to kind of be a role model for that. You know, like you have to watch other people. And I did. I have a great, like one of my best friends in town. She just like doesn't do a lot of networking. Like she's very authentic to exactly what she needs and wants for herself. And she still gets, you know, people hitting her up to write for her or whatever, or vocals or blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. That's the thing, right? Is like, there's this misconception that if you take care of yourself, people are going to think that you're no longer available. And it's just not true. It makes you more available. It's the complete opposite.
So the depression of mine started to lift last year when I started taking better care of myself. Exactly what we're talking about. Because since I moved to Nashville, I had gained almost 40 pounds. Like, that is a lot for somebody to gain weight. And it's because I was eating cookout every night and having too much to drink and not exercising enough. But then last year, I went on a vacation, and it was kind of just like a Control-Alt-Delete hard reset. And I came back, and I was like, God, I gotta put things back in check. And that was when I was so struggling that I was like losing my breath tying my shoes. I was so out of shape. Like, I don't want to struggle this hard. So I just started going to the gym again. And it's hard to condition yourself to like, okay, I do need to go to the gym today. I do need to have a glass of water. But now that it's part of that day, that hour that I just go for a walk, that's just part of it. And then my brain wants that. If you feed yourself good things, your brain asks for good things. But when you feed yourself garbage, your brain's like, I do want another double cheeseburger.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you condition yourself to becomes a habit. So I get that. And I think it's really great that you were able to like go somewhere else, hit a hard reset, and recognize that you wanted to make these changes so that you could be a healthier, more present you.
Because I was worried, again, what we were talking about, I was worried, man, if I'm not in Nashville, are people going to forget that I do shows? No, they're not.
No, you've made such a name for yourself.
The machine
no one's
still
forgotten.
runs.
Yes, exactly.
The thing still goes, and it's okay to take a break. But I'm glad that our generation is becoming more open and accepting of understanding that people need to take breaks and recognizing, even if somebody's not taking care of themselves, be like, hey, can I get you some water? Do you want to go for a walk? Like,
that's true.
We're more proactive
surrounding
about
yourself
trying
with
to help
people who
people.
recognize that. Yeah. And are like,
the positive influences that I don't want to say that we didn't have growing up, but we're just less prominent or less common.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember people taking breaks. I think like our generation, you know, the millennials were just taught to keep working and keep working through it. And so now we're adjusting.
How old were you when you got your first job?
Well, I used to babysit, so I never had like a, but 12.
I was 13.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers to think about.
That's true. People trusted me with their kids at 12 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust people with my kids at 12.
Not.
The kids I teach today.
The kids
no
you
offense,
teach?
Yeah. Maybe a couple of them, but I was like, damn, that was
It's crazy to think about that, because I can't imagine asking a 13-year-old to go wash dishes at a restaurant and then trust.
We need to give them more credit.
Yeah, trust
Some of
that
them are
those
capable.
dishes are clean.
Yeah.
13-year-olds are gross.
They can be, yeah. they can be.
But let's talk more about what's coming out for you in the future. You said you've got a new singer-songwriter based project.
I do. So
speak to that.
I shall. So yes, last summer, you know how it is. Like you write things on the back end and it takes a while for songs to come out. And sometimes it seems like a project's going to be dead and then it gets revived.
Right.
So I found the right vocalist for the last song I'm going to put out for my pop project for now. And then, I was kind of back and forth whether I keep my same name. I talked to some friends and I was like, if I'm transitioning kind of back to a different sound, then I was like, the greats like Taylor Swift and whoever else, they kept their name and they did whatever the fuck they wanted. And I know my voice isn't on most of the music that's out right now, but yeah, so I'm going back into like a singer-songwriter, very stripped back, either acoustic guitar, some piano. I even put a slide guitar in this one. I was like, I don't know, I'm feeling inspired.
You are in Nashville.
Yeah, right? I know. I was like, hey, to my producer Graham, I was like, I don't know about this. Can we try a slide guitar? And I was like, I like that.
That's cool.
I've been told lyrically that I could write country. I haven't been in that space yet, but I very much love storytelling and I love putting a lot of words. And so yeah, I'm really excited about this project, and I think it's gonna take a little while.
What's it gonna be called?
So the song that's gonna come out is called Some People. It'll be out within the next few months. I got to put out this pop project first, which is almost done. you know how it is. Like if you're working with other
Right.
people, you kind of have to be at other people's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like beck and call, but you have to like be
Yes,
patient with other
yeah.
people. Yeah. So collaboration be like that. But yeah, I'm excited to transition. I've been playing these songs out at writers' rounds, and people have just been really receptive. And I think because it's truly 100% me. Not that anything I've ever done isn't me, but I'm just in a different chapter in my life where I have been vulnerable. You know, I guess, yeah, it's interesting when you start making your, well, for me, and I think maybe, I don't know, I could speak for other artists, but on stage, it's like you forget sometimes how vulnerable you're actually being because you're so used to just playing your same songs over and over again. And then I think about it and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's really honest. And I think that's what draws people to my lyrics and my songs is that I'm being really honest. And yeah, so I'm excited to go back to that place and explore that and use my voice again and share all this music. I've written a ton of songs. I probably have 10 or to 12. And then you can't put them out as fast as you write them. So we'll see what happens. But I'm just excited to start sharing
What are
that
some
side
of
of
your
me
career
again.
aspirations for yourself with your music or your artistry? What do you have a place that you want to play? Is there a festival? Is there a venue? Is there a number one you want to have? An artist you'd like to have a song with?
I mean, well, yeah. It's tricky because, you know, I was like, I'm going to be a songwriter and that's all I'm going to be. And I consider myself like a songwriter artist, so I don't like always love being the center of attention. But I saw Ed Sheeran up there and I was like, that'd be really fucking cool.
You don't have one of those big all eyes on me personalities like some people do.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I appreciate you and your personality and your music is because it calls for it anyways.
I appreciate that.
It does the hey, look at me without having to be flashy about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think sometimes some people can be a different persona on stage. I am just 100% myself all the time. And there's nothing wrong with what other people do with their artist project or their career. It just doesn't feel authentic to me.
I have to do that. I have to be a character when I perform because I do funny music.
Yeah.
And I like to make jokes and I like to laugh, but I'm a pretty serious person. And when I write my funny songs, though, I have to animate myself and I have to be a character and I have to make stupid faces and make jokes and funny sounds.
Yeah.
And it's weird to have that dichotomy between the person that people know from being the host of Tour Stop versus the person who writes the funny dick joke songs.
Wait, how come I haven't heard any of these?
It's a weird dynamic to have because it happened on Friday this past week where I played several people who one person said they didn't even know I performed.
I mean, I didn't. I'm not going to lie to you, but I saw these guitars. I'm like, hell yeah.
People don't even know that I perform, but
Yeah.
let alone perform comedy music. And they're
Right.
like, who are you? It's this whole side of me that I just don't bring out to play,
Yeah.
so to speak. But
That's fun, though. It's great to have layers.
It's exactly because it gives me an outlet to put creativity and to be that person.
Yeah.
But then when I'm not having to be the cut up comedy Aaron, like if I go to a house party or a barbecue, I don't have to try to tell jokes to
Right.
be funny cut up comedy Aaron. I can just be, I'm going to sit here and patiently drink my iced tea and wait for the hamburger to be done.
I think you're pretty funny regardless, but I know they're not the same type of jokes.
So, any places in Central Jersey that would be special to go play at?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, probably Asbury Pride.
Okay.
Anywhere like the Stone Pony. Not that I want to play there, to be honest. I'm trying to think. I guess, you know, for me, I used to have these really big goals, and I still do. It's not like but I've become more realistic about my goals.
Right.
So I would
That comes with your 30s.
Yeah.
That's the reality I'm hitting myself. Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's be realistic.
It's really it's a beautiful reality, though, right? It takes a lot of pressure off, honestly. So, yeah, I would love to play here in town. I want to play the Bluebird and the Listening Room. Those are my next two kind of things. And while I continue to just hone my skills on stage, because I haven't performed in a while and I had to gain my confidence back. And, you know, I've been lucky that I have friends who come support me now in New York. I didn't really have that. But it was different. If I mostly had friends in New Jersey and a couple in New York, crossing the bridge is a lot harder. You know, it's $15 and then parking than just driving 20 minutes to a venue here.
Right.
So that's kind of the beauty of Nashville too. But yeah, I mean, I would love to get more songs in the sync world, either my own or co-writes. I've had some success there. in the EDM world. I still love top lining. If I ever got a number one, whether it was a co-write or probably not my own song, but that would be hella cool. So yeah, I mean, like I still have those goals, but I am happy to just, I remember I was at a Red Door hang and someone that I know from town who I actually met when I was in Boston, going to a wedding.
World.
I know, going to a wedding. He was playing at a bar and then he moved here. And then he was also on The Voice with an artist I used to manage. Crazy. And now we both live in Nashville. So I remember him saying the goal is to make a career out of this. And by that, I mean like money, right? Enough to support yourself. And I was like, that's a great goal.
Wow.
You know, he was like, because it's hard. It's hard to make money in this industry.
It's
and
impossible.
Yeah. And I know you have the same goal. Did you see, I don't even remember. I think it's Writer's Block. They're going to start giving money to performers now. And I know that's your goal for Nashville Tour Stop too. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's how we need to scaffold and support everybody. But yeah, my goals have changed. It doesn't mean the big goals aren't there, but realistically, I just want to start small things. Because when you have goals that are too big, then you're not commending yourself on the things you're already achieving.
Right.
And I was doing that for a long time. It's like, I'm not good enough.
Setting small attainable goals is something we've talked on the podcast before. My first small attainable goal when I started doing tour stop was like, I want to be able to pay my utility bill with this.
Right. Yes.
And that's literally
that's
hoping
a great
for
goal.
$70 or something. Mm-hmm. That is an absolutely attainable goal. But if I said, I want to buy a house with this, when I started it was like, man, that's scale back.
Yeah.
And then that can be one of the steps, but don't try to skip the journey.
So what goal have you reached now, and what's your next one?
So goals that I've reached was one, being able to do tour stop full time. That was a huge one, and
Yay.
It took a long time. It took a very
What's a
long
long
time. Another one of the goals is I wanted to be able to buy a house, and granted, my house is tiny, but it's mine. It is mine.
It is.
And
it's clean
my
and cute.
HOAs.
What'd you say?
But there's so many other things that I'd like to accomplish, and the next big goal that I know I'm going to hit is having that 1,000th show. And
yes, that's huge.
It's humongous.
That's incredible.
So I don't know what date it will happen because we're still constantly picking up so many shows in Nashville that I don't want to say, oh, it's going to be this date and then have to stop taking things.
Right, right.
But I do know that it will happen sometime next year. And I haven't even started thinking about what I want to do for it yet.
Yeah.
But I should probably start thinking about that.
There
But the
you go.
1,000th show, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
The one thing I do know that I want to have for the 1,000th show is I want it to be another marathon where we have tons of people play. But I also want to have
cool.
as many people as I can that played their first show ever in Nashville at Tour Stop.
I think I did.
I would love to have you play that show.
Yeah, I played
then.
at the Cambria.
Because
You wanted to know how we met.
I want people who started with me to be there as my company grows. And I like to see my friends and the songwriters in the tour stop community grow as well.
Yeah, community is so important.
The coolest part about what I get to do is see people who move here fresh off the boat and then get to see them reach their own career milestones.
Yeah.
And get to know that I was a part of that. And I personally know that some people set I have to play tour stop. I know that is my show is part of the step to the next thing.
Yeah.
In Nashville.
No, definitely. I've had people be like, I'd like to play Nashville Tour Stop. And I'm like, text Aaron. He's really receptive.
I love that I'm part of so many people's journey. We've had almost 2,000 different acts play.
That's
which is bonkers.
Amazing.
Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing is getting that 1,000th show.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I've never asked you, but like, what inspired you to start Nashville Tour Stop?
It was an accident.
Okay, of course.
Actually, I wish
That's
there was.
beautiful.
I wish it was a better story, but
that's a great story. An accident, like that's so cool.
when I first moved to town, I was in a duo. We were like a country rock duo,
Cool.
and we were playing a bunch of shows together. And we've talked about it on air before. We were called Dirt Road Degenerates, a little country rock duo. But we were playing at the 404 Bar and Grill down South Nashville-ish. But we were playing there like 3 or 4 nights a week. And then the bar owners got familiar with us, and they're like, hey, you guys are here all the time. Would you like to just host a show as part of you guys playing sometime?
Yeah.
So we hosted the Nashville Tour Stop Presents Dirt Road Degenerates, and it was just our opening act.
How'd you come up with the name?
I did not pick the name. My
Okay.
recommendation was the I think it was the Green Room or something, but the other half of the duo came up with Nashville Tour Stop.
Gotcha.
And I wish that I could take credit for the name of the business that has treated me so well over the years, but it was not my idea.
That's okay. You've run with it and you've made it,
it's mine now.
Huge, commodity. I love it.
But we only did a few shows at the 404 before we eventually moved to Belcourt, and that was where we really just got that regular Sunday night show rolling.
Yeah.
And then it just became part of my life.
I love that.
And it's a wonderful thing that I get to do. It has enabled me to hang out with my friends and actually meet just about every friend that I've made in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And that's why I really try to bring that same kind of friendship community feel to it.
Yeah.
It's because it's given me so much. I would like to be able to give that to other people too.
That's truly, truly amazing. And like, I know, earlier before we even started the podcast, you were like, let's talk about how we met. And so I met you because a friend that I met in town through Bumble BFF went to a show randomly and saw Haley and Spencer of 76th Street and invited me to come out to one of their shows at the Cambria Hotel. And that's when I met you. We
met at the Cambria.
We did.
I'm so happy that I know the 76th Street girls.
Oh, yeah. They're some of my best friends now in town. So
if you're listening to this the day it comes out, July the 27th, if you're listening to this and you're in Nashville, we are at the listening room tonight.
Ooh.
Beginning at 6 p.m. And we do have the 76th Street
they're
girls
playing there. That's right. Yes. That is a really busy day. There's a lot of things going on that Thursday, but yours is going to be incredible.
That will be a fun show. If you're able to come, please do. But if you're listening to this after the fact, it sold out and we had a great time.
Damn right.
Well, Jamison, can you give us your plugs? Tell us where we can find you online and interact with you and your music.
Sure. So I'm really only on Instagram. That is my platform of choice. And my handle is I am Jamison Music, Jamison with an I. So said like the whiskey, but spelled like my name.
I'll have that tagged in our episode link description as well.
Perfect. So yeah, that's where I'm most active. And then I've got music on Spotify as well, just under Jamison, Jamison. And yeah, I look forward to hearing this podcast, and I appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you for coming and joining. Thank you for listening to the Nashville Tour Stop podcast this week, right here on your phone or your car or wherever we are. But even though that is the end of this week's episode, please do remember to follow us on your social media platforms at Nashville Tour Stop, or you can find our full show calendar on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. If you'd like to support us at the Nashville Tour Stop podcast, we do have a Patreon. We've got bonus episodes. And you can start there for $5 a month, and that will help me get out of my living room. But in the meantime, please do remember that all roads lead right back here to the Nashville Tour Stop.